Hi dear friends, we were discussing model number 6 B, Gateman's gift by R.K.Narayan. We have already discussed about R.K.Narayan and his contribution to the field of English literature in India. We were also discussing on the beginning of the story Gateman's gift. We have completed almost 2.5 pages of the story. We will continue in this video the same story. For the recovery of what happened in the earlier video, I would like to read out just 3 to 4 lines of the last part of my last video. It was a wonderful miniature reflection of the world, and he mounted them neatly in thin wooden slices, which enhanced their attractiveness. He kept this in his cousin's shop, and they attracted huge crowds every day and sold very briskly. More than the sales, Singh felt an ecstasy when he saw admiring crowds clustering around his handiwork. So the Singh has started to do some toys with the help of clay and started to sell it in different places. On his next pension day, he carried to his office a street scene which he ranked as his best and handed it over the counter to the accountant with the request. In the next day of his pension, he brought some miniatures with him which were sold out fastly, and put all these miniatures on the counter and request to the person behind the counter, "Give this to the Sahib, please." The person said, "All right," said the accountant while a smile. It created a sensation in the office and disturbed the routine of office working for nearly half an hour. After seeing these miniatures, people from the office gathered there, and more than half an hour wasted. On the next pension day, he carried another model children at play and handed it over the counter. The same happened in the next pension day also. He asked to the accountant once again, "Did Sahib like the last one?" "Yes, he liked." "Please give this one to him." And he passed it over the counter. He made it a convention to carry on every pension day an offering for his master. And each time his greatest reward was the accountant's shocked reply to his question, "What did the Sahib say?" And he usually replied, "He said it was very good." So it became an habit of Singh to bring miniatures with him and hand over all these miniatures to the Sahib and the people in the office. At last he made his masterpiece, a model of his office frontage with himself at his post, a car at the entrance and the chief getting down. This composite model was so realistic that while he sat looking at it, he seemed to be carried back to his office days. So he made a masterpiece of the situation of outside or the corridor of the office, where he himself on his post, the car at the entrance gate, and Chip is getting down. So this miniature he created, which was his masterpiece, and when he saw towards his masterpiece, he feels that he seemed that to be carried back to his office days. He passed it over the counter on his pension day, and it created a very great sensation in the office. Office people liked this miniature too much. Fellow, you have not left yourself out either. People cried and looked admiringly at Singh. Mentally, he is still working there. That miniature is showing that situation. And people guessed this situation of his mind and said to him, Fellow, you have not left yourself out either. A sudden fear seized Singh and he asked, The master won't be angry, I hope. No, why should he be? Said the accountant. And Singh received his pension and went home. A suspicion raised in his mind whether he is wasting time of the people in the office by giving such kind of things. A week later, when he was sitting on the pole kneading clay, he was sitting in the pole kneading the clay. At that time, the postman came and said, A registered letter for you. For me? He surprised. Any letter would have upset Singh. He had received less than 3 letters in his lifetime. And each time it was torture for him till the contents were read out. He has not a habit of receiving registered letters, and he gets upset. A torture starts in his mind. Now, a registered letter. Only lawyers send registers letters, isn't it so? He asked to the postman, and postman replied, Usually. Then he said, Please take it back. I don't want it. The Singh said. Then what postman asked? Shall I say refused? The Singh replied, No. Just take it back and say you have not found me. Means Singh did not want to take this letter, registered letter. Because the letter confused him terribly, upsetted him terribly. But the postman replied, That I can't do. Said the postman, looking serious. Perhaps first time in the day he saw such a person who is not receiving the letter. Singh seemed to have no option but to scrawl his signature and receive the packet. A clear denial of postman compelled the Singh to get the letter. So he scrawled the sign. You know very well that if you receive the registered letter, you have to sign the paper which is with the postman. So he took the letter. He sat gloomily, very sadly he sat down, gazing at the floor. His wife, who had gone out and just returned, saw him in this condition and asked, "What is it?" His voice choked as he replied, "It has come." He replied to the wife, "It has come." He flung at her the registered letter, thrown the letter towards her. "What is it?" she asked. He replied that, "How should I know? Perhaps our ruin?" He broke down. His wife watched him for a moment, went in to attend to some domestic duty and returned. Still found him in the same condition and asked, "He is outside in the same condition, drawn completely, sitting there. Why not open it and see? Ask someone to read it if you don't know the language." He threw up his arms in horror. He was terribly horrified with the letter. He threw up his both arms in horror. "Oman, you don't know what are you saying. It cannot be opened. They have perhaps written that my pension is stopped, and God knows what else the Sahib has said. All this is a kind of imagination in his mind going on." He said to his wife, "You don't know what you are saying. It cannot be opened." They have perhaps written that my pension is stopped, and God knows what else the Sahib has said. Why not go to office and find out from them? His wife suggested to him. "Not I. I will never show my face there again," replied the Singh. "I have lived without a single remark being made against me all my life. Now," he shuddered at the thought of it, "I knew I was getting into trouble when I made that office model." After deeper reflection, he said, "Every time I took something there, people crowded round, stopped all work for nearly an hour. That must also have reached the Sahib's ears." What is the suspicion in his mind? He was thinking that about all the miniatures he took there in the office, and he wasted maximum time of office bearers, so that there may be a complaint against him from the office bearers that the so and so person is wasting our time on the pension day, and that's why somebody complained against him to the chief of the office, and the office perhaps have sent this registered post letter to him. So this is the suspicion in the mind of Singh. The remaining part of the story we will see afterwards in my next video. Till then, thank you.